Hi, I'm Annie Botticelli, and this is the Storyteller Forecast for Gemini for August 2018. Go to my website, anniehelpsyou.com. Check out what's new in my blog. Also, if you're into self-development or professional development, check out the massive amount of resources that I have on my site and services for expanding your work and expanding your self-development. So what's going on in the month of August? We have Mars retrograde still, but it's going to go direct this month. We have Mercury retrograde, but it's going to go direct this month. We also have the third in a series of 3 eclipses. And we have 2 outer planet trines. Trines are the most favorable aspect in all of astrology. So we've got a lot of magic coming from those. So we're going to break this down and talk about it piece by piece. I'm going to go into some things specific for Gemini, and then we'll go over more of the general transits and how to best use them. I'm calling the theme of this month for Gemini Sexy Peach Pie. I have a recipe that I put together called Sexy Peach Pie that I've been making for many years that has some surprising flavors in the peach pie, which is why I named it this way. But the reason why I'm putting it here in this month for you all is because there are angles called sextiles, which are 60-degree angles. They're the next most favorable aspect in astrology when we look at the trine, which is the 120-degree angle, which we've got 2 of those that all of us are going to be benefiting from. But then Geminis and Libras, but that's another story. Geminis are going to be having these amazing 60-degree angles show up in a really big way this month. And 60-degree angles, the sextile, are ones of pure potential. So you have to do something with them. So that's what makes me think of the pie. If you have, so basically this transit will bring all of the ingredients to make this sexy peach pie onto your counter, and you have to use the ingredients to make the pie. So the trines may bring in some blessings where you don't even have to do anything, or you've already done the work, and the eclipse can also bring in stuff for things you've already worked on. There's a massive theme of things coming in, of things that you've worked on already. But specifically with these sextiles, which I'm going to go into detail about how those are showing up, you have to do something with them. So if you have the ingredients for the pie on your counter and you don't make it, it's completely in your hands. And that's how these transits are. So you're going to have some potentials come in from these 60-degree angles that you have to do something with. So the first set of them will come in from Mercury retrograde, okay? Because Mercury's going retrograde in Leo as of around July 25th or so, through August 18th or 19th, depending on your time zone. Mercury will be in retrograde in Leo, and it will be retrograde starting from 23 degrees of Leo back to 11 degrees of Leo. So we'll just add 2 degrees in either direction because we can often feel things close like that. So basically for anybody that has Gemini placements from 9 degrees up to 25 degrees, which is going to be a lot of you, when Mercury is making this angle, it's creating 60-degree angles with your Gemini placement. So it will do it when it goes direct, it will do it when it goes retrograde, then it will do it when it goes direct again. Okay, so there's this story being told about these potentials and these ingredients coming in for you to do something with them. And it's specifically beneficial for the people whose math comes together in a nice way. So that's what astrology is about. Astrology, of course, has an art to it. It has an intuition. It has the subjective view of the reader, right? That's like the art of astrology. But the science of astrology is based in math. And the math is based in these angular connections and how these angles create certain experiences, whole different vibrations. So the way that Mercury is acting is creating these potentials with your Gemini placements. And the more Gemini placements you have, especially between 9 and 25 degrees, the more you're going to be positively affected by all of these ingredients coming at you. So if your birthday is from around May 30th through June 15th, or if you have those degrees from 9 to 25, if you're watching for your rising sign, you all will be most affected by this. But all of you will still have the potential. Okay, now the next set of sextiles comes from the solar eclipse. So again, a reminder about the eclipses. We have 3 eclipses in this grouping. We have 2 in July and 1 in August. we can feel effects from eclipses before the eclipses and after the eclipses. So the ones in July are still really active and busy in August. So if you haven't gotten up on those, definitely watch my June report where I go into the July solar eclipse and the manifestations for Gemini. And then in my July report, I talk about the July 27th lunar eclipse and the manifestations for Gemini. And now in this August report, I'm talking about the third eclipse, the one on August 11th, the solar eclipse at 18 degrees of Leo, and what that can look like for you. But first I want to talk about this special angle, okay? Because since the energy of Gemini is 60 degrees away from the energy of Leo, when this eclipse happens at 18 degrees of Leo, it's going to kiss back towards these Gemini placements beautiful vibrations. And if you have anything in a Gemini placement close to 18 degrees, you're especially going to be blessed by this. So June 3rd through June 13th for birthdays, especially focusing on the days around June 8th, that receives the most blessing from the eclipse. But like I said, you still all are experiencing this energetic potential. It's just more fine-tuned for those placements. So we'll say if it's like from 13 degrees to 23 degrees, if you're watching for your rising sign or your moon sign, then the eclipse will hit a closer vibration for you. So now I want to talk about where the eclipse is going to hit for you. So solar eclipses bring in new energy, they bring in new opportunities. Since we have this eclipse positioned right in the midst of Mars retrograde and in the midst of Mercury retrograde, very commonly when that occurs, the new things that come in from the solar eclipse are based in the past. So an evolution of a past project, something you've been working on, someone you know from the past, something can come back up and seem as new, but it's really an evolution of something that's been going on. And also, since we're mid-story here with these eclipse cycles, so we started at the beginning of 2017 with this eclipse story, and it goes into 2019. So we're still mid-story, so chapters are opening, chapters are closing, and we have that happening again at this time. So all of you will have a chance to experience this in the third house. You very early placements might see some fourth house manifestations. You very late placements might see some second house manifestations. I'll speak briefly to each of those. But the dominating manifestation for all early, middle, and late Geminis are in the third house. Okay, so the third house has to do with everything Gemini, actually. The third house is ruled by Gemini. So everything that you're about, this eclipse is activating for you. This has to do with communication and communication devices, methods of communication, writing, editing, things like that, even to some degree publishing, although we see a lot of that in the Sag energy. There's a lot of crossover with Gemini and Sag when it comes to writing, editing, publishing, speaking, things like that. Sharing of information, basically, and the fine-tuning of the information that's shared. This is also having to do with mobility, like your physical mobility. And that can include transportation devices, bicycles, skates, cars, things like that. While in general, the retrogrades are not the best time to get new vehicles or devices if you can help it, you definitely always have to follow your own flow. And in that last week or so of the month, especially once Mars gets direct, like between August 26th and 28th, we've got these beautiful water trines that are in effect then. Mercury retrograde has almost completely passed in its post-shadow period. So if you need something new as far as a device or transportation, try to lean towards the end of the month if you can, but always follow your own intuition and your own flow. But it could be some kind of upgrade. That's what solar eclipses tend to be. They tend to be an upgrade, something new, something better, a lot of times. Also, this could have to do with an opportunity with siblings. So siblings, aunts, uncles, cousins, relatives that are not your parents or your kids, although some of them may factor in from other areas of your chart. The third house itself rules these other relatives. So something new, a new chapter in your communication, a new chapter in working with this person, a new opportunity to work together. Something involving one of these relatives could be up. So communication, transportation, mobility, these relatives are all the places where things can happen. Some of you might be wanting to start a blog. This is a fantastic time, especially the end of August, if you've been wanting to get your footing with something like that. Gemini energy very much rules blogs because they tend to be shorter, and Gemini is like a shorter amount of information that has a lot of variety. So like, here you talk about this, now you talk about this, now you talk about that. That's totally the energy of a blog. So if you've been wanting to do that and you don't want to wait until December when the next clear spot from the retrogrades comes, we'll be done finally with all the Mercury, then Mars, and Mercury, then Venus retrogrades once we're in December. But if you can't wait until then at the end of August is this pretty nice launching point for communication related things. So as I mentioned before, if you're very much in the beginning of the sign, your birthday's in the first couple of days, your placement's in the first couple of degrees, you might see some new opening with your home and family. You might see a move, you might see a real estate sale or purchase, you might see a second home purchase. There might be work opportunities that make you move, or money that comes in from work that makes you be able to get a bigger house. Something having to do with newness in home or family that can include a new addition to the family. So either through marriage or through birth or through pregnancy news, you might see that there. Your very late degree placement, so at the end of the sign, in the last, later degrees, you might see this manifestation in the second house, which is your finances. Also your values, also could be items of value. But for many people, it turns out to be a new income stream, or having money for some other reason, like you spend less money so you have more money, or you change your values and that automatically changes what your income is. Sometimes when you put a different value on yourself, people will meet it, right? And then you make more money. So it could include a raise or something in there. So these are the things that are most on my mind. We do have these beautiful, the water trine and the earth trine that are going to be in effect covering most of August between the two of them. So I'm going to talk more about that and the dates and degrees of those in the general transit report, which I'm going to get into now. Also, I'm going to talk about what the mantra is for this month, what you want to hold in your heart as spiritual practice to make the most of the rest of these retrogrades, the eclipses, and the other things that we have going on. So I'm going to go into all that now. So the theme of the month for August 2018 for all signs is magical alignments and abundant blessings. And that is for a bunch of different reasons. We have so many things going on now culminating into these magical potentials. So we've got Mars retrograde, and then going direct around between the 26th and 28th of August. We have Mercury retrograde, and that was starting July 26th, running through August 18th or 19th, depending on your time zone. We have the new moon solar eclipse in Leo. That's going to be on August 11th. We've got 2 outer planet trines. So there's magical things going on there. So we have a full moon in Pisces at 3 degrees on August 26th. So these are a lot of things that are going on. So I want to just give you a little recap of how to use these energies well and hit a couple of dates to note. Also note that the information that I'm giving you, if you are better with written and looking at things visually, you can get a written version of what I'm describing, plus more details about the general transits and aspects for August and every month when you sign up for my free newsletter at AnnieHelpsYou.com. When you sign up at AnnieHelpsYou.com, you'll get a resend of all the newsletters I've sent for recent times, so you can catch up with what's going on. And then, of course, I always send these out a month early so you have them for your planning purposes, so you know the good days, the dicey days, and things like that to make your plans. So the eclipses and the retrogrades are both increasing the odds that things worked of, dreamed of, and planned on in the past will come to fruition now. This is a major time of continued manifestation. The retrogrades are not good for certain things, which you can check out on my website, AnnieHelpsYou.com, and also check out on my YouTube channel. If you put in Annie Botticelli YouTube, I have lots of videos about Mars retrograde, Mercury retrograde, on the things to avoid during these transits. But there are a lot of things that these retrogrades are really amazing for. And one of them is to let things come to you, is to be the spider. It's like you've woven your web, and maybe you're also weaving a web for future catches in the future, but it's in the backdrop. But you're just letting things come in. You're relaxing, you're de-stressing the best way you can, you're not forcing things, you can be comfortably productive, but it's more about being the spider and letting your food come to you. Another theme of this month is taking a break from the norm in big and small ways. Even something as simple as driving down a different street to go to work builds new neuronal pathways in your brain. And not only is that good for the longevity of your mental capacities, it's also, when you light up new neuronal pathways in your brain, it activates new energy in your field to bring in new things to you, to break out of old, a matrix, an old matrix. So you can do things different in a small way, or you could do things different in a big way. There's an example that I want to give you about this artist that I know who is very detailed in his painting, but he was stuck. He wasn't getting paid for his creative work, and sometimes it would take him years to complete a painting. Of course, if you see the painting, it would be like, wow, you can't even believe that somebody could create that, especially with a small paintbrush. But he was stuck. And so during this cycle of the retrograde, he started watching Bob Ross. I don't know if you know Bob Ross, the epic Bob Ross with his epic hair, but you can look him up on YouTube. He basically teaches you how to paint landscapes, and you can watch him paint this amazing landscape picture in like 20 minutes. It's crazy. So he started watching Bob Ross and then started applying this very fast using of the artistic skills to get in and get out and finish things. And because of that, things unlocked for him, and he's had this whole new opportunity for being paid for his artistic work, when before he was stuck in the same old way. But that's how you can that's an example of how you can use these retrograde energies to just break from the norm, to open yourself up for more opportunities now from the eclipses and other things, and also in the future. So definitely check out my Mars retrograde blog and video. Definitely check out my Mercury retrograde video. But do know that this month we are carrying those energies, but both of those planets are going direct. So I gave you those dates earlier. If you're traveling now or ever, and you are interested in seeing what the astrology for your travel time is, things to look out for, things to be aware of, you can check out my website, Astrology Kiss Travel Bliss. And I do monthly travel astrology reports on there. Okay, so this long series of retrogrades that we've had for months could be wearing on you, and your patience could be running thin. This plus this notable amount of squares, so I'm calling it minor annoyances with these squares, but major blessings because of these, the solar eclipse and the outer planets coming together in beautiful configuration. But just know that you're going to have a little bit of an open boosting time. So even though the personal planets being retrograde are not going to end this long sequence until like December, at the end of August, beginning of September, you'll have a little bit of a break from the deep retrograde energies, okay? So if certain things have to bubble up, effervescence, just bubbling up, you might notice some momentum and some things starting to pick up at that point. In general, issues with anger at present or past situations can come up strongly. So the more you can not act from a charged space, the more you can prevent yourself karmic repercussions. And also adopting the spiritual recognition of divine timing over your own timing is a major theme that the astrology of this month wants you to bring into your forefront. Everything is happening just as it's supposed to, and you're exactly where you're supposed to be. Okay, so I'm going to hit a couple of highlights of dates to watch. August 1st, we've got a square. Tension can create breakthroughs here, but any way you can break free from something, just try to do it with care and not with anger. August 6th, we have another square, the Sun and Jupiter. So you can feel very proud and capable with this transit, but depending on how you bring that feeling out to the world, maybe it won't be well received. So just kind of watch it, try to tend to not overdo on any level, including spending, food and drink and substances and things like that. On August 7th, we have Uranus going retrograde. That starts at 2 degrees of Taurus and it goes retrograde back to 28 degrees of Aries. So anybody who has placements there, it won't go direct until January 6, 2019. So this is where the planet of change and freedom switches to do deeper work on your inner space. Okay, so either to catch up with changes that have already occurred in the outer realms or to prepare you for future changes that are coming in the outer realms. Also on August 7th, we have a beautiful trine with Venus and Mars. So this is a great little boost here in the midst of some of the annoying aspects. We've got on August 8th, Venus opposing Chiron. So it's very likely to bring up some challenges involving love and money, and feeling like your self-esteem is off or feeling like a victim is more likely at this time. But of course, it always gives us opportunities to have breakthroughs as well. August 8th, we have the Sun conjunct Mercury in Leo, so you can have your creativity ignited. It can fuel romance, it can increase fun, it can also increase ego flares and battles, so just tread lightly on charged topics. August 9th, we've got we have Venus square Saturn. I don't know where July just came from. Anyway, so Venus square Saturn. Whenever Venus, the planet of love and beauty and money, comes together with Saturn, just sort of this hard-nosed, you know, challenge bringer, especially in that type of configuration, it can bring money or relationship issues. So, you know, the need for you to deal with them is going to be higher, but your inclination to avoid them is also going to be high. We've got another square on August 10th between the 10th and the 11th of Mercury and Jupiter. Whenever we have squares with Jupiter, Jupiter is a benevolent outer planet. So even the challenging aspects with Jupiter can be softer than squares with other planets. So it can bring a lot of optimism, but again, with that, like a tendency to overdo, like I have so much energy, I don't know what to do with myself, and then now I just burn myself out or something like that. So just kind of be aware of what you're committing to. August 11th, we've got a solar eclipse, new moon at almost 19 degrees of Leo. So this is time to make your 10 new moon wishes on the topics of Leo. So anything with children, creativity, romance, fun, hobbies, addictions, leadership, acting, anything else that puts all eyes on you. So new opportunities and major new chapters can come in from that eclipse. August 19th, we have this official trine between Jupiter in Scorpio and Neptune in Pisces. So again, this started at the end of December. There's some story that started at the end of 2017. It got strong again at the end of May, beginning of June. And then this is the final connection. So if you have any, especially water placements close to 15 degrees, but really anything that would aspect the 15 degrees there is going to more closely affect you. And you'll feel that trine for quite a while, you know, a while before the 19th and a while after the 19th. August 25th, we have a grand Earth trine with the Sun in Virgo, Saturn in Capricorn, and Uranus in Taurus, and those are at 2 degrees. So if you have any planets at 2 degrees, especially, you know, something that causes an astrological aspect with Earth in those signs, there's going to be more effects for you. August 14th through September 13th, we will very likely feel this beautiful effect. So launches and important things can be great, even though we're kind of still doing a lot of retrograde energy. If you have to push in something at the end of August, beginning of September, you can ride the coattails of this trine while getting, you know, Mars will be direct as of between the 26th and 28th. Mercury is already direct, so you'll have more momentum here and you might see some really beautiful things happen. August 27th, Mars is direct at 28 degrees of Capricorn. That post-shadow period stretches until October 10th, so it won't regain full oomph until then. But momentum and drive and ambition will definitely, for those of you where it was waning, it will very likely start to return, sometimes to the day. It'll be a little sleepy, but you'll feel something different, like something's waking up. So on August 27th or 28th, depending on your time zone, Mercury will square Jupiter again. We had that square earlier that I mentioned, but because Mercury was in retrograde, then it did it in retrograde, then when it went direct, it did it again. So just be careful of overcommitting. And if you can promise or commit to only a fraction of what you feel like you can do, then you'll be happier, because as time moves on from this moment, your optimism or the reality may set in. And if you commit to something from that high space, then it's going to be hard for you to pull it through. Okay, so these are the things that are most on my mind for the transits in August. Definitely, if you would love to learn astrology, check out my website, anniehelpsyou.com, for my astrology education options. If you'd like to be a coach as your profession, I would love to help you, teaching you my 6-step formula to getting results. I'm really good at setting and reaching goals, and I love to teach people how to do that for themselves and for other people too. If you'd like to bring your business online and have geographical freedom, you may be interested in my Creating Successful Online Business course, which you can also see at anniehelpsyou.com. Remember that if you would like a written horoscope from me, often with different things than I talk about in the video, you can go to cozybysweetstarlight.com. At cozybysweetstarlight.com, you will see blogs featured from people, up-and-coming bloggers, also from myself, and my horoscopes are featured there, but there are a lot of different lifestyle blogs there that I think you will enjoy. So check that out. Go to my husband's website, IamHelios, IamHelios.com, to learn tarot. Also, he does astrology readings, tarot readings, and other cool things you can see on his site. So I hope you have a wonderful month, and I'll see you next month. Bye.